Hey everyone, I'm most excited about our guest today because I think in a parallel world, I'm pretty sure I'd have his job, but don't tell him. I am excited to discuss how Google can help your business succeed in the Caribbean with Dion Paul. I'll be right back.
People think that this is the way things are working. So employees, team members, managers, leaders, but in actuality, there's a massive gap between what you think you're delivering and the experience that your customers are actually having on the front line.
Launching an online business needs a little bit of a mindset change. It's not just purchasing the website or the system and then sales come through automatically. There needs to be a little bit of a groundwork.
I mean, we are talking about going after the customer. This seems so obvious, but it's not, because when you are talking in a digital world, this customer now is much more empowered. It's much more criterious. It's much more looking for real relevancy on the way that he's connecting with any engagement, any company, any product, or any offer.
Good morning and welcome to First Atlantic Commerce. Here on the FSC Live Show, we cover all things e-commerce in the Caribbean. Our guests join us from all over the world and generously share their expertise, knowledge, and insight into the digital world and how we operate within it. If you're joining us from LinkedIn or Facebook, smash that like button. I'm gonna wait for you. Go ahead. You finish? All right, cool. So you don't want to miss these conversations because I guarantee you're not going to find this anywhere else. And if you want to see your business grow online, you need to stick around. These conversations are so important, especially for Caribbean businesses. Today, we have the great privilege of talking to Dion Paul, who is a program manager at Google. And he doesn't know this, but I swear I wanted to be a program manager back in the day. Now I'm an entrepreneur, but that's okay. I'm going to ask him a lot of questions. He's earned a bachelor in electronic engineering technology and master's in computer science from Florida University, A&M University. He coordinates and executes security engineering initiatives across all of Alphabet. If you don't know, guys, it's the sort of the boss of Google. Previously, he has worked in IT support, corporate engineering, immersive advertising, and risk teams, which we are so interested to learn from him. And he also hails from Trinidad and Tobago, so Caribbean massive. Hey, and now resides in New York City with his wife and two kids, and apparently loves to fly drones. So there's so many questions we need to ask him. But before we do, as always, I'm joined by Chris Burns, the CEO of First Atlantic Commerce, here to help connect the dots with the technical side of e-commerce. Hey, Chris, just in case no one knows where you are, where in the world are you?
Hey, good morning. I am here in Bermuda, as always these days, but very pleased to be here. Nice to speak to you all again today, and really excited to hear from Dion. We met probably about 5-6 years ago, actually in Trinidad, at an event there. So really pleased to spend some time with him and all of you again today.
Awesome. The importance of networking, guys. You heard that? You heard that? It's so important, especially on LinkedIn. Don't underutilize technology, okay? All right. So, Dion, where are you in the world right now? I mentioned before that you reside in New York, but is that where you are now?
Yes. Greetings, everyone. I am Dion. I am currently in New York, and a piece of my Trini spirit is wishing I was in Miami for the carnival this weekend. But alas, I am here, and it's getting cool, but enjoying it nonetheless.
It's funny you say that because I saw someone post something. It's just like, I wish everybody's phone just dies and nobody gets cell connection because the jealousy is strong with every Caribbean person right now with all the costumes. I'm like, Anyways, let's get down to business. When it comes to the trends within the Caribbean, for me personally, because I've been in digital marketing world for a little 10 plus years, there's sort of a perspective when it comes to the internet. Yes, we use Google to search for things, but a lot of times we default to social media in the sense of Facebook and Instagram, and more recently TikTok, to the point where we actually get all our information there. And with that, there's an underutilization of Google products. So, what would you say would be the biggest gain of any small business owner when it comes to Google?
That's a good question to kick it off. And you tell me I wasn't going under the fire hose and I want you ready for it. As far as in these times, Google is a global company, and we make products for billions and billions of people around the world. So I take great pride in my ability, based on how I was raised, what I've seen, and being able to be a part of conversations and in the rooms when things are being designed or things are being rolled out, and hoping that and pushing in some ways for those perspectives of underrepresented folks from the Caribbean and folks from far-reaching places of the world are factored in to these products, these big products, massive as they roll out globally. And you mentioned underutilization, which is it can be a sticky point. When I think of the products, I think in various ways people use products in for various purposes. And one that comes to mind, one Google product that I certainly don't think is underutilized, is YouTube. It is used in many ways, and it has allowed in these times where we sort of not in person anymore, we're remote. It allows you to learn so much. It allows you to connect with others, and ideally to using events and stuff as an example, join some of these events virtually. As you know, that's the order of the day now. So hopefully that addresses your loaded quick quest, but I'm happy to clarify further if needed.
No, I completely love that answer, because I immediately go to my mom. She, just I don't know. She don't want me to say her age, but she's the baby boomers. Back then, bell bottoms was her style, and she used YouTube as a place to learn how to sew, to learn how to play piano. So it's a space for her, not just just to be entertained because she loves Hallmark movies, but to also learn. And it's so interesting, especially now where a lot of companies have to pivot. We have to learn new things. I had to learn new things, even in the lockdown, even as been in this space for 10 plus years. I had to learn the dynamics of live streaming. Luckily, clients like Chris was allowing me to learn and paying me at the same time, but that's another story. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. And when it comes to e-commerce, Chris, a lot of people think you just need to put up a site, connect to your bank, and that's it. And what would you say to that business owner if they think that it's not working, it's everybody else's fault that nobody's buying their products online?
Yeah, and I think that is a common misconception. So yes, we talked about this a lot on the shows in terms of what is required to get your website up and running, or how do you want to do that? Do you want to have a shopping cart? Do you want to have a template? Do you want to build from scratch? Think about the payments aspect of it, work with the bank, and that is that's work, and but it is very, very doable. And then I think a lot of people are just you're right. They think, okay, well, now I've got a website, everybody will find me and come and buy my products, and that's definitely a misconception. So as much effort that you put into actually building the site and creating the brand, you need to put into, if not more, to promote the product or the brand or the company, and use all the relevant online tools to help you with that, and maybe some more of the static tools as well. You have to really figure out who your audience is and where they go to consume their information. So, is it through a search engine? Is it through YouTube? Did they just exclusively look at Instagram, or are they on Facebook? Do they listen to the radio? Are they still more of a print type of customer? So, really, you've got to spend the time and energy to figure that out, and work with the right people to help you do that. And that's you mentioned about learning as you went along with us, and we've done that with you as well, in terms of just figuring out where we are going to be most effective with our marketing and attracting people to the message that we have, to the services that we provide, and how we help ultimately grow the e-commerce economy within the Caribbean and Central America effectively.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time because you hear the words pivot so much it becomes an eye roll for most people because it's a trending conversation, but it's so important, especially now. And for Dion, who was selected by Google, computer science graduate for IT residency program, somebody might be saying, yeah, you could tell me about going to YouTube, but you're technically inclined. What do you don't understand? I don't have your brain. How am I going to learn all these new things? What are you going to tell them, Dion?
More loaded questions, and I sort of have a different perspective. We're all unique in various ways, but I really lean on my background and our big upbringing to drive me forward. And I would say just get started. One, if you have a business or service, keep the user top of mind. Keep whoever your target audience is. If you sell in shoes, a certain type of shoes, what would someone who wants to get these shoes, how would they find you? What would that experience be like for them? So think of that and try to fold that into how you present your product online. And as far as like getting online and getting started, I could say the traditional, just go to Google and say, how do I get my product online? But they're very curated and bespoke tools that you can use. One of them is Google My Business. Anyone globally could ideally leverage it to get their self represented online. And that's one of the key things you'd want to do in getting your business online. So you could Google My Business, and there are curated steps for you to help get your business available in maps or in search. And as an example, I can look back at growing up in Trinidad, Arima, Train Line, Pinter Road represented. There was a shop I used to go to as a young person, still young, mind you a little bit that thing. And that shop still exists today in Audi Road, call it Audi Road, Train Line. You pass two trees and you reach by the corner. And I won't go into names, but what I think is so special is that simple business doing well. Used to be a shop, is now morphed into like a grocery, and they're available online. I could go look for them in local search, could see it from here where I am. If I go to maps and I just zoom in on Trinidad and I look at my home spot, I can see that business actually there, which is so amazing to me, that they're able to leverage these simple tools, Google My Business, to get their business represented online. And essentially what this means is that when someone searches for you or they search for things associated with your business, for example, shoes, Trinidad, and let's say it's selling in Arima, you can configure that so when someone searches for it, they can actually see your business details. They can call. You can add your website if you have one, and we can get into that a little bit more. You can add your phone number. You can add your location, and you can even add a few quick pictures that can tell the story of your business, can give folks an idea, a visual perspective on what they can see. So I think it's really amazing that these seemingly complex tasks, they're all by it can be possible to get them set up for you, for your own business, for the world to see, ideally getting you online. And I'm in Trinidad and I look at it all the time because it's so humbling to me to see that and being a part of the broader ecosystem that helps facilitate that, even though indirectly, because I have coworkers that specifically their job is to help facilitate that. But I'm aware and I'm here and I'm always happy to share that knowledge in hopes of helping others to get their own businesses online and make the best of it.
That's such an awesome story. The corner shop has now connected to a global space because you just never know, especially now where folks are working remotely. Somebody might end up in a Rima on Airbnb and don't need to find something and they don't know where anywhere is. And they're going to find that space. And I think a lot of times we don't think globally. We just think about within our friends and family, which, admittedly, a lot of folks do build their business from there, but now we have to expand. And with that, Chris, give us some insight into some of the opportunities folks have when they do go online, because you have a lot of sort of probably hesitation because they're afraid of what may happen online, as well as I've actually heard someone told me they have a store in a mall, people don't go online. So what would you say to that store owner, Chris?
Yeah, and I can understand why some people are nervous of it. And there is definitely, a nostalgic element to going to that store that you've gone to for the last 25 years because you love going to the store. You remember the smell of the store, the layout of the store, the people within the store. And that is important when building a brand as well in a physical environment. Uh, there are a lot of advantages to taking the next step with that business and taking it online too. So, and I think, a lot of that we've seen over the last 18 months because of COVID and the necessity to be able to purchase online. But, one of them is, and I think for me, the most important factor about taking your business online is that your store is now open 24/7, 365 days a year. With a physical store, it is very rare that you're going to be open every hour of the day. You might get some restaurants or cafes that do that sort of thing. But but in the physical world, you're going to have like sort of 8:30 to 6 maybe. Then you're closed and you're paying rent on that building. Some businesses are not going to be open on Sundays. Some take Mondays off. So you're still paying rent even though your business might not be open. When you're taking your business online, your virtual rent for your website or whatever that might be is usually significantly less than a physical building. And then some of the other aspects around like just security in a physical world are significantly more expensive than it would be in the virtual world. So, if you need a security guard or bars in the windows or locks or security cameras or security service to pick up cash, all of those things really add to the cost of doing business in a physical world. And a lot of that is reduced significantly when you take that into the virtual world. So not only are you open technically, potentially all the time, you're able to open your business up to a much larger geographic outlay. So you can choose to do it domestically, you can choose to do just the Caribbean, or you can choose to open it up to the world. And there are lots of tools that you can bring on board that can help you do that. And I think and this is probably something Dion can chip in on as well, is that a lot of people that are just starting their business on Facebook or Instagram, for example, are not having a website. And you don't necessarily need to have an e-commerce enabled website if you're selling through social media, but it's still important to have a website so people when they're searching using Google that they can find you and find the information about you, and then where you can potentially buy those goods or services. So there are tremendous advantages of being online. And now that we know that we could go into scenarios where we're just not allowed to go into a physical store. We need to build our businesses in a way that we can survive if that does happen.
Nice. Dion, you want to add to that? I see you
Yeah,
shaking your head
certainly.
vigorously.
It's not too vigorous. It's just a mellow acknowledgement because I wholeheartedly agree. Circling back a bit and adding into what Chris said, the Google My Business is part of, it's a product in itself, but it's connected to many other Google products and other products used by other third parties in this scenario that you can simply incorporate or link it to your one Google My Business profile, and that's all governed by your account. If you have a Gmail account, you can simply extend that to include your business profile and other things to help complement this. Like, for example, your business name. You could get a domain name, and these things I have maybe purchased or gotten in my college days multiple business names, and I always use it as a factor for me to think about how far I want to pursue this thing. Like one story that comes to mind is the pink flamingo story, that was in the floaty things, and I used that as a reference. Someone came up with the idea to have pink flamingos in pools, and they probably had a domain name pinkflamingo.com. And after a year, you can get one of these names for like about $10 or $10 US, or in other places, depending on how popular or how ranked it is. But ideally, $10, which is not a significant investment, I would imagine, for many. You get your domain name. In a year, it expires. If it doesn't go beyond that, you can say this business goes away. But in a year, so much can happen. So take that scenario: you have a domain name. It's linked on your Google My Business profile. Someone randomly says, doing a party, say, "Hey, I want to look up. I need pink flamingos for my party," and instantly, if it's available, you can get a business stream. You can get new customers easily at your door, without doing anything. So figuring out how to get inventory and stuff are other factors, but ideally it's available online. So someone doesn't have to go in a mall. Not that there's anything wrong with going in a mall and physical outlets, but at their fingertips, you can even talk to devices as they are now and say, "Is there a pink flamingo place near me?" or something like that, and that information gets presented to you easily. So these if you do have a physical storefront, these things can get represented on search or on maps via this same profile. I mentioned domain names. That's an identity online, so folks can easily find you. And when you purchase one of these domains, you can actually have a one-pager site. So they walk you through the steps of setting up a one-page site. It can simply have your name, your logo, and what you do, your opening hours, and maybe an email. And that's all you really need to have. Simple is often always better and more effective because it's clear and concise, and folks can have an idea of what you have. And over time, you can add pictures and stuff to better inform your audience of the type of products or services that you have. And one additional thing, getting a little bit more advanced, and there are experts, lots of experts you can look around for, is called SEO. So that is search engine optimization, and it's pretty much a feature where someone looking for you or talking to one of these smart speakers like Google Home or so, and asking for advice, asking for information, using those things. And if you have search engine optimization configured correctly, it can directly take those queries or those people's ask to you and have your information be presented to them. So it's a little bit more advanced, but some of the key things are just setting up your profile, making sure you're visible online for everyone to see, and maybe getting a domain name, booking your name. And that's also a good factor to think about in case someone else has your name. So you don't want to be conflicted with others. And one good way is to search for available names, see whether it's available, and book it for yours. Or it can sometimes even motivate you to change or adjust your name to sort of deconflict it from someone with your similar name who might not be doing the same service and stuff. You want folks to know who you are and know how to get you easily and simply. So all those things are presented and available in the Google My Business tool, as well as marketing materials that you can actually download and customize to your own needs and have available for use online or in your stores as well. So all those things are possible by a few button clicks. And Chris or Pauline, I'm sure we're not screen sharing here, but someone can easily go to Google and search for Google My Business, and all those cache of tools would be available for you to use and quickly get yourself represented online efficiently.
Yeah, I'm positive our audience is efficient enough to go head over to google.com, because it is still the number one visited website across the Caribbean. I checked.
I didn't say it.
I know, it's facts. Right above YouTube. So I love the fact that you spoke about search engine optimization, because I love that conversation so much. So I was actually buying domains yesterday for my business, because the association of certain names actually skyrockets us our website. But before we get to that, we're going to break, and we'll be right back. We want to drill down more on all things Google. See you on the other side. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us today. FSA Live covers all things e commerce with guests joining us from all over the world, sharing their knowledge on this digital world that we're all part of. You're not going to find these conversations anywhere else, so make sure to smash that like button on LinkedIn. That's the only way you're going to get notified, guys. These conversations are so important. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, and we will do our best to answer them today. As always, I'm joined by Chris Burns, the CEO of First Atlantic Commerce, here to connect the dots on the technical side of e-commerce. Hey, Chris, out in
Hey
Bermuda,
there.
who I recently learned, guys, just FYI, Bermuda gets cold. Can you tell everybody out
Wow.
there what cold is in Bermuda? Because I am shell shocked. Go on.
Well, I mean, it's all relative, right? So, in our winter, it gets to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's when you're used to island temperature. That it's cold. That's like end of the world stuff for us. Ski jackets, hats, gloves. It's cold. But if you live in New York, like Dion, in January, you would be very happy to have 60 degrees.
For those who may not know, that's 15 degrees Celsius. So the idea of Bermuda shorts, we just have to rebrand that. Can we just talk about that at a later date, right? And as for Dion, who's also joining us today, he is a program manager from Google, hailing originally from Trinidad and Tobago, but currently in New York City. I think it's fall there, right?
Yeah, fall just started, and Chris mentioned 60. I think it's 61 now where I'm at, and it's a lovely day because I don't have to wear a jacket. You see, I just have on the sweater here. It's a nice day. See, when it gets to the 40s Fahrenheit, it does have a little bitey nippiness that I could just tell. But 60 is not bad, and interesting to know Bermuda drops to those low temps. With the right gear, I don't mind weather, but that's me.
You see, I just need to tell the whole world. I'm sorry, Chris. The
Yeah.
secret's out.
No, but it's good though. It's nice to have that little bit of break. It's you don't want you
That
don't
little
want
bit
it,
of break.
you
Here, you
know
guys, a little bit of
90
break. What?
degrees, 100% humidity. After a while, you need a little rest from that.
Fair enough.
Coolness.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want warning. I know I don't want to be packing bathing suits and then realize I have to have 3 layers coming from the Caribbean. Is all I'm saying. Where's the
Yeah. Oh
tourism
no.
board giving me this
Yeah.
information?
If you're coming from New York in January, you're still packing swimsuits and shorts for sure,
All
but not
right.
coming from
Fair enough.
Trinidad.
Well, now I know. Now I know. So, we're discussing how Google can help your online business succeed in the Caribbean. And something that Dion mentioned earlier about search engine optimization. And within the marketing space, everything is kind of lumped under one thing. People think, my website guy is going to handle everything. People don't realize that within digital marketing, there's specific skill sets that are required. And when it comes to search engine optimization, can you explain that, Dion, in the most layman terms possible for a business owner?
Um, Interesting. So SEO, it relies on a couple of things. It's a way to really, it's sort of like creating a path online for folks to find you easily, and it's based on a few key things and very much localized to wherever someone who is looking for you is located. And it's premised on the concept of keywords. So, for example, if your business, I'll use the shoemaker example. If you're a shoemaker, you'd probably want to have the best words within your local market that someone is looking for shoes will commonly use. And there are tools like Trends, Google Trends that you can use to get the best terms, see what people are searching for the most. And you can use that in your search engine optimization. And essentially what that does, getting the best keywords that reflect your business, things like your location, what your business services, they allow you to get ranked a bit higher on folks' searches. So you're on the radar a lot quicker. You have a better chance of locking in your audience, and you sort of get ranked in the search algorithm. So folks searching for you or searching for a shoemaker in, I'll use my hometown Arima, by setting up SEO. it can really ensure that folks can find you easily and quickly, and you can get the business that you desire online, or you can get them to visit you quickly. So it's based on keywords, finding out what those keywords are, ultimately allowing your rank to get higher on the amongst all the folks all around that search, because setting up search engine optimization can really help folks to find you a lot more quickly and more efficiently. And that's in a nutshell, without going into too much detail, because I used to be on an ads team and it's very, very complex on the back end. But on the front end, figuring out what your keywords are, getting that set up, it could all be linked to your Google profile. Your Google My Business profile can really help you on your business scaling and growing online, helping you grow your customer base and helping new folks to find you quickly and efficiently.
I love that you said Google Trends, because if I could tattoo that on my forehead and still make money, I would do it. I'll tell you a story. I started a triathlon club with we all detached from a club. But I shouldn't say me. Somebody else had the idea, and she came to me because she wanted help with naming the club, and she reminded me of this last weekend because she asked for my advice, and she's like, she was thinking about naming it her name, and then one of the names was Dynamo, right? I could laugh at it now. And I said, no, you have to make it simple. Go to Google Trends. And she literally reminded me that it's so embedded in me, I forgot about that. And she went to Google Trends and she thought of the name and she kept it at the bottom because she's like, this is too simple. And eventually, and she kept bringing up names, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. And then she said 868 Triathlon. And that came from Google Trends, the idea of people associating the area code and the word triathlon. There's no guessing who we are and where we're from. And that's basically, we're the most visible triathlon club. I'm going to say it. We're the most visible triathlon club in Trinidad and Tobago, if not the Caribbean at this point in time, because we've been featured in the Triathlete magazine, the first Caribbean triathlon club to do so. So clearly, there's something to be said in using these tools and using data to make business decisions. And when it comes to e-commerce space, Chris, why do you think SEO is important?
Well, I think it's quite simply is that if people can't find you easily, then they are going to go to somebody that they can. And simple thing being, people always talk about, look, if you're on the second page of a Google search, then you're nowhere. And because people have a short attention span when it comes to searching for things. So if they want to find something, they want something on the first page, they're going to click on the first few links. Yes, some of them are ads, so people might go a little bit further down within there. But if you're not searchable and people can't find you easily, you're quite simply just going to lose business, and people are going to go to your competitors. So it's it's the same thing with retail, like in a physical world. They always talk about location. If you're in down a dark alley somewhere and nobody knows where you are and there's no signs pointing to where your store is in the physical world, people just they're just not going to come and find you. And if you're not advertising in print or radio or newspapers, whatever that might be in a physical world, again, the same thing applies to an online world. If you're not searchable and people can't find you easily, they're not going to come to your online store.
Yeah, you can't get more black and white than that. And I was in New York for the summer, and the ease of finding things. I was in Queens, and I had to go get a laundromat, and it's just so easy for me to go to my phone, search, and that was it. Whereas when I get here, I mean, there's definitely a difference. I'm seeing in Trinidad where using the Google space is actually a particular company that has done a lot of business because they use the Google My Business, and I'm now seeing a default website that pops up when you register your business. So there is that shift, but we need to get there a little faster if we want to be ready in terms of e-commerce, because guys, we go in Amazon, like it's not even, it's not an idea, it's factual. It's actually gone up. Last year, Amazon, I believe, was the 8th visited site in Trinidad. Now it's like the 6th. So we are using the technology, we're using our credit cards, might as well take our money. Just take our money, right? So, what are some of the solutions or resources that Google provides to support online businesses, Dion? Can you shed some light on that?
If I may, just circle back quickly on the trends and the search engine and all of that. One thing to keep in mind, and then I'll pivot to tools. I know we don't like to use the word pivot, but it is the concept of creating great content, because you can have your profile and you can have no pictures, or even a great picture, or not so great picture, and think of yourself as someone using your own product. Even your example, Pauline, of searching for laundromats and figuring out which one you're going to choose, probably boiled down to the content, how that business probably presented itself online. If they have pictures showing clean floors, you'd probably go there rather than someone just have the outside of their business showing up. So really thinking through how your content is, dig in, your business well, and you have an idea of what your customers might ideally like. Find ways to present, to curate great content, and it can certainly help in your endeavor in growing and scaling your business. And a plug for the Pixel phone, which I use, and the portrait mode really makes me look like a super photographer. I take pictures of flowers and trees and plants often. I'm a bushman, but you can simply use those native things on no matter the device that you have to really create great content, have good pictures, and sort of use that to complement your online efforts as well. So I wanted to ensure that was not left out. Additionally, in diving a bit into some of the creative aspects of them, and I'll share my expertise, because I used to be a part of my former team before the team I work on now. I'm now in security, but I used to work on immersive advertising, and we really pushed the limits on what was possible for advertisers, as far as representing their products online. So at the time, when you think of ads, you think of just pictures, like you just swipe through and stuff. My team at the time, we created and grew a new type of advertising experience, and it is now available for use across various surfaces, and surfaces in this concept are like search or YouTube and stuff like that. And what it ideally did is created more immersive experiences. So for example, I'll go back to the shoe again. If you wanted to represent your shoe, we facilitated that 3D models can actually be used to represent your shoe. So not just a picture of the shoe, but actual 3D model that is interactive. And those things are they may seem very complex to do, but you could go to simple tools that they have online, 3D generation modeling tools, and have a version of your shoe, of your product, made and created, and use that in your marketing. And it could really help bring more customers to you, help your customers learn more about your product, and really just open up and unlock new spaces and new types of businesses for you to new business ways for you to leverage and grow your business. So just wanted to circle back on that and make a mention. And this of course could happen across YouTube or search as examples in YouTube, similar to the platform, which will remain nameless from my end, where you can apply filters. But it is possible, especially areas like beauty. Lots of entrepreneurs are growing their businesses online and have their products, and are able to leverage some of these features to really represent themselves differently and in new and novel ways, and get more customers to learn about their spaces and just have a unique experience online. So I can share more details on that, but I really wanted to hone in on content and the use of nascent tools that are really available to help represent yourself and your business more effectively online, on top of everything we've mentioned before.
When you said nascent tools, what are you referring to?
Within like YouTube or for example, and I'll just visualize an example. If you go to Google now, you can search for tiger. And when it shows up, you can actually scroll all the way down. You would see that within search, there are 3D models of lots of animals. There are even 3D models of different types of products, cars, and all those things. And it's really a growing space. So when I refer to nascent, I refer to really very technically seeming complex, but simple and at your fingertips and cutting edge. So you can go to Google now and search for a tiger and scroll down. It's also dependent on the type of device that you have, because it requires certain types of underlying software to be able to visualize that on your phone. But you could go and do it now. I don't have a chat, or I can't see folks here, but I imagine a few folks are listening. Go to Google, type tiger or lion, and you can search for that. And down in one of the windows below the fold, you actually can see a 3D model. You can interact with it within the search window, and this is on mobile. Or you can actually, and that's 3D model embedded, or you can even bring it into your room via augmented reality. So there are features that allow you to take that same thing that you're interacting with and bring it into you. So that's what augmented reality is. And my former team worked a lot on some of the underlying software to support that at scale. So now it's growing. It's a lot more robust, but easily at your fingertips. The same concept that you can have these lions and tigers and animals and products. In the near future, you'll be able to imagine having your own products represented that way on your website, or in search and those other areas too. So.
Wow, that's exciting because it's really bringing that real world into the virtual space and reducing your output. Because once those things go up, it's, to me, it's considered a digital asset. You don't have to go back to it. So you spoke about something about content, and it's something that I it's considered my religion. I love to talk about content. So we're going to go on a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the importance of content when it comes to e-commerce and Google search. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us today. FSC Live show covers all things e-commerce, with guests joining us from all different parts of the world, sharing their knowledge in the digital world that we are all part of. You're not going to find these conversations anywhere else, so be sure to follow us if you know somebody who is interested in this, maybe, and they're not on LinkedIn. Tell them to head over to Facebook, because we're there too. And these conversations are sure to inspire, if not inform you, on the space in the digital world. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, and we'll try our best to answer them today. As always, I'm joined by Chris Burns, the CEO of First Atlantic Commerce, here to help connect the dots with the technical side of e-commerce. He's in Bermuda, a place that I just learned gets cold. I know I'm still getting over it. And Dion, who's our guest today, a program manager from Google, hailing originally from the East Side, Trinidad and Tobago. And we're discussing how Google can help your online business succeed in the Caribbean. Now, when it comes to content, it's interesting because a lot of people, because it's so vastly used and overused, people kind of lose the concept of the word. And just for the purpose of the question I'm going to share with the audience, content usually refers to some form of text, image, video, audio, right? I think those are the simplest ways for me to segment content. And when it comes to content, we tend to utilize a lot of stock images. We don't necessarily go out like Dion on drones and go and get, original content. So for the purpose of the e-commerce conversation, Chris, why do you think it's important for a business to have that content in order to drive sales?
Because I think you need to find a way to make yourself stand out from the crowd. And if you're just using stock images that everybody's seen before, or you're saying the same things that everybody has heard before, they're going to switch off very quickly. We have, very short attention spans when it comes to looking for the things that we want. And it's really important that we find this, create original content, or content that is going to be relevant to the customer base that we're looking at. And I know that sounds really obvious, but if you were a company like ours, for example, and that was just using sort of American content to attract Caribbean businesses, that's probably not going to be as effective as creating the content that is going to appeal locally in the Caribbean. We're not an American company. We're not selling to American people. Why would we use American content to do that? And that's the same thing for with any of the businesses here. Like if you're a local company in Trinidad, you want to appeal. You want to tailor your content and your advertising to to Trinidad, if that's where your market is, or if it's wider throughout the Caribbean, tweak that into the different countries or islands that you're selling to, and if you're selling over to Europe, or if you're selling to diaspora versus sort of native people in England or wherever that might be, you've got to constantly change your content to attract that, and then figure out, use the analytical tools to figure out which content is most effective for you. And so you're making sure that whatever you're spending on your advertising or your content creation is going to, is actually being effective. You're getting value for the dollars that you're spending effectively.
I'm thriving in this conversation. I am excited because I have a theory about original content, and because we have Dion here and he has the technical side and he's going to give us the exclusive insight as long as it's legally possible. Why is it important to have, or is it important to have that original content? Meaning, I see a lot of small businesses, because it's an effort, they will repost memes. They would take a picture of a stock image and put it up on their Google My Business, and for that, and then they're like, I'm not really getting the traction that I want. Why is that happening?
Engagement. You want people to engage with your content. You want it could lead to more businesses, new customers, and all of that. That's the short version. Ideally, and circling back to a question that you had asked before, what are some tools? I try to think of tools as things you can use at your disposal. Some are like physical, tangible, but some are knowledge that you gain over time, and you can sort of have it as expertise to put in your entrepreneurship arsenal of list of things, of skills that can help you on your journey. And education is one of them, expertise. And why I mentioned that is because a tool, and I'll go back to your question. One of the ways that I think businesses can really grow is by educating themselves on how they want their business to grow, what things are available at your disposal. And content can really help be the underlying piece of that. So I'm going to reference the Inside Scoop, which is all publicly available information via this platform and program we have called Grow with Google, that's really designed to help businesses or individuals or persons really grow their efficiency and grow as they are. So I'm going to mention a couple pointers specifically related to content, and it's all via this tool. In this scenario, the tool here is Grow with Google, and there's a specific section for small businesses. So a lot of the things that I discussed today came from there. But to your question around why would businesses want to do that, going back to engagement, some of the things that can be done alternatively is really ensuring that your content matches your values. As a business, what is your value? What is meaningful to you? What do you want your customers to gain from using your product? So ensuring that your content matches that is one key piece. Additionally, making sure you have a strategy for your posts. Don't post today and then next week you say, you know what, I have nothing to post. Really, before you even start, figure out a strategy, create a schedule. There are tools, third-party tools, and third-party in this reference are non-Google tools that you can use to really create a schedule of how you want your post to do, and it could even automate that post for you. You can figure out when is the best time to post and create a strategy to get your content out and really engage your customers over time. We all are entrepreneurs in some ways, but we all are users of products and services in various ways. And we like to, people like a story, storytellers, they make the world go round. And for your business, you want to be able to tell the story of that, and having great content sort of alludes to that. So a strategy for showing how your story goes, going from, I'll use the shoemaker example again, going from, and this might be a bit morbid. Let's say you're a leather shoemaker, because I grew up playing soccer and I always used to go to the shoemaker to fix my, call them boots, my tugs. And sometimes they would have an old Rasta man on the line, big up bug. He used to have leather that he would use, come from the cows, and that's how he made his leather. So imagine you're a shoemaker and your customers could really identify with, wow, he really had the leather from the cow, and then he ting it together and make this shoe. Really, all that makes great content. It might not be useful for everyone. If you're a grocery store, there's no way you can reference a leather and cowhide in your business. That's not good content for you. But for a shoemaker making leather shoes, I think that's a good example of great content. Additional things, because I know we're coming on time, and testing your content before you invest. You can spend a chunk of money to have great content, but you really want to have an idea of something simple and test it with a few people. Even if before you put it online, have a printed picture, those things still work. Say, hey, ask your customers, what do you think of this thing? Would you buy my product if you see this picture? So really test it before you invest a whole bunch of money, and then figure out what's working well. Use video. Video is a great example of telling the story. There's time lapses. I think my light came off here. One sec. Got a little dark.
No worries.
Real time. I'm in the office here, and using video is another way to. And I mentioned before, like immersive things, which are a bit more advanced, but moving things as opposed to just a static image, unless it's a really great picture, a static picture that tells a story. But video is a great way to build engagement. And lastly, blogs. Blogging is a great way to better your business. And I'll mention one other tool. Something that I use just to keep my mind in this space often is an app called Primer, and you can download it. It's Google backed, and you can use that to help come up with strategies, learn new tools, learn new skills towards helping your business grow and stuff like that. So I'll mention Primer, and really figuring out how best to build interest in your it can help you like build greater interest in your business online by helping to create great content. So I feel like that was a mouthful, but hopefully it hit the question that you asked. And happy to I could talk all day.
So for those who may not have taken everything or not have their pen and paper, not to worry, sign up. If you go into the comments, you'll see the link to sign up. And what we usually do is forward all the links that we were discussing today via email, so it goes straight into your inbox. Now, we have discussed a lot today. We've discussed the SEO conversation. We've discussed my favorite tool, Google Trends, content. But let's talk about a space that I feel like we need to cuddle it. We need to have a relationship with it. And it's called data, Google Analytics. And I've met so many businesses that have a website and actually don't know that they can look at all the data in the Google Analytics. For the space that we're in, we usually look at what is the trail from social media, because that's impact we make. But for you, Dion, with your expertise and the background of your knowledge, why is it important for every single business owner to know about Google Analytics?
Great question, and I know we're approaching the end here, but it's the ideal way to measure how you're doing. Data tells the best story. So Google Analytics, all tied to the same business account. These are all connected via your account. Is a way to measure your app or your site in various ways. It can tell how many people clicked on a particular area of it. It can tell when you get the most visitors for your site. So it can really allow you to get meaningful insights to make better decisions to help your business grow. And that's my 30-second version of why analytics are important.
And for Chris, do you use Google Analytics?
We do, not me personally, but Trisha definitely does from our marketing team. And your data for us, is one of our most important aspects of our decision making. right? So if you don't know what is working for you, or you don't know where your money's coming from, or if you can't see, in this context, like, what is the bounce rate from your website? If people are coming, what pages are they visiting? So that will give you an indication of what content people are most interested in on your website, for example. And then also, things that, if people are getting to, looking at products and putting them in the shopping cart, and then they abandon their cart and don't purchase, and you're seeing a huge uptick in that. What is the issue? Is pricing the issue, or is it too complicated to pay and check out? So you need to analyze all of that to make sure that people are, you're going to ultimately get to the right point and closing those sales, growing your business, and giving people what they want ultimately.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and don't know what a bounce rate is and you own a business, why? Go Google it, okay? We can't teach you everything, okay? All right. So I'm done. I'm done venting. All right. So when it comes to trends, Dion, we want exclusive insight into any knowledge you may have on small businesses and trends within your space. Can you share that with us?
That's a tricky question, but as far as trends, I use the same tool that you use, trends.google.com. And before I get on some of the meteor stuff, I actually use it very regularly to see what are some of the key terms that are growing. And I'll be a little bit tangential here. The word Zessa, which I've been away from Trinidad for some time, but I was intrigued by how using trends to analyze this term, and I was able to pinpoint where it's used now often. When was the first time it was even searched for, to get an idea of how it was its inception. And I thought it was so amazing. So I look at it often, and I can tell the areas where they search for Zessa the most. This was a few months back. But as an example, I use trends.google.com to glean the same insight. So nothing exclusive there. But I do have a lot of friends and partners who are entrepreneurs. And some of the things that I have seen are things around food. Us in the Caribbean, we love to eat. And the pandemic really made us not be able to go out and eat. I know quite a number of businesses that have since morphed, and they've done things like meal prep and be able to bring food to their customers, or in the same way have their business go online but not physically move. And online in this concept is really just setting up windows of when they have food available, quick menus, so you no longer have to go look on the chalkboard to see what they have today. Quickly, you can easily update that on their website. And not even on the website, some of them use other messaging tools or their social media platforms to get that information. But ideally, in the same spirit, they gotten online and they have moved their business from being physical only to now online in various ways. So food has been one key thing that I have observed and been backed by trends, as well as events. All the feds that I make, I go to them. Lots of feds have gone virtual, and you can join in and feel a part of it, even expressing your sentiment about being there by emojis and chat and flames and fireworks and all these things. But yeah, lots of businesses have. Those are some of the top areas that I have seen outside of disaster. But as far as food and events, where businesses have since morphed their mode of operation into being more hybrid. So physical spaces, but more online front ends, more on an online face that can be present for them without their store actually being open or their place of business being actually open.
I'm intrigued by that, Zessa. I feel like there's a thesis that could be created. I almost feel like
Go
I'm
look
going to
for
tell
it.
people
Go
they
look
need
for
to
it.
go and write a blog about it. Yeah, Chris, we will have to have that. I'll have to share that meaning after the live.
Yeah, definitely.
Today you learn
Yeah,
this.
just to give another like real world example there, and just on the analytics, just very quickly. So we were getting a lot of people come to our like contact us page, where we used to ask for a lot of information on people before they submitted an inquiry to us about our services, and we noticed a lot of people were just abandoning the page. So we made the conclusion that we're just asking for too much information, and we simplified it down, and it had a huge uptick in the amount of people that filled in the forms to contact us about our services. Very simple. Use the tools, do the analysis, and it can have a big impact.
Yeah, I would add to that. I'll give you guys an exclusive. I mean, I feel like I could share this. Chris didn't really authorize me, but I think I could say this. When we initially started and we started to do blogs, we were using the word e-commerce. You want to know something funny? We in the Caribbean don't use the word e-commerce. We search for online shopping. We search for shopping online. We search for how to get customers to purchase stuff online. But e-commerce is so at the bottom, and we learned all of that from Google Trends. So we stopped using e-commerce and started using it more in like the blog paragraphs. But when it comes to the titles, we shifted into the online and shopping, which it's made a huge difference in the SEO. So little tidbit, guys, there, exclusive information, nowhere else. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us today. I learned a lot, and I hope you guys did too. Be sure to join us. We usually go live here on the LinkedIn page as well as the Facebook page at 10:30 a.m. our time, Eastern time. I don't know where else in the world you're watching this, but be sure to smash that follow button and you'll be notified on the next event. And thanks again to Dion, who is out there in New York, holding tight with that cold because that winter might be tough this year. And I hope that you guys enjoy this session and how you can, help your business online be successful with Google tools. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.